friends, Mascha here, and today I am excited to welcome you to Tarot Drums Throughout Centuries extension to our Top Tarot Drums series. In today's feature, we will be discussing the evolution of the Strength card in Tarot following the progression of these drums throughout the last 6 centuries, and my hope is that you enjoy this new format. Yes, slightly different format today, and for those of you who follow and participate in Top Tarot Drums series, you know that my installments in the series, my videos are a little lengthy, and I know from the feedback I have received from you, my friends, that quite a few of you break my videos into sections to watch. So yes, what I'm trying to say here is that today I'm trying out this new format where I decided to separate the history part and my personal favorite parts into 2 separate videos, and there are a couple of reasons why I am doing it. Look, a few of you now mentioned in comments and personally in your messages to me, and I'm talking to those of you, my friends, who participate in Top Tarot Drums, either on Instagram or through your video responses on YouTube, is that while you would like to see the historic evolution of each card of the major arcana, you prefer not to be influenced by my choices or by choices of the others before making your responses. And I'm like that too, right? So I kind of try to not to watch, even if people go a little bit ahead of me in the series. I intentionally don't click on watching their videos because I don't want to be influenced by their choices. So that's one reason, right? So you express that you like the historic part, but you don't want to have a spoiler or those influences, right, of me and other people sharing our most favorite, right, of each arcana. I also have a few tarot history friends, and they don't mind mentioning it. They kind of more silent subscribers, right, who also express that they really enjoy the historic part, and they're solely in the series for seeing the different representations of the major arcana cards from the earliest decks to the latest. And there is also the personal convenience part for me, that splitting the historic parts and my favorite parts and shout outs into 2 different sections, it will save me a lot of time, and it will allow me to film kind of chunks of the videos to release later, especially during the weeks when my schedule is a little full, or like next week I am off on holidays on a break and I will be away from my cards. I hope this all makes sense to you, and I hope you enjoy this new format. I, of course, I'm always listening to your suggestions, and I will be looking forward to your feedback. But the idea is actually to make my videos a little more on point, right, based on their titles, and also to make my videos for you, to make it easier for you to navigate through. But let us now get to the main topic of this video, which is the Strength card throughout tarot history. So yes, with this installment dedicated to Arcanum XI, we are moving on to the second out of 3 virtue cards represented in tarot. As you can see from the title of this video, I will be following the time-tested historic trump order, with this feature showcasing the progression of strength, of Fortitude, also known as Force cards throughout the last 6 centuries. For those of you who follow the Wade Smith tarot tradition, Arcanum XI is justice for you. I, of course, have linked below my justice video from the previous weeks for an easy find, as I did my justice as key 8, as for majority I read with Tarot de Marseille Tarots, and I follow historic Italian cards, historic Italian tradition. Hence, for me, justice was 8, and today we are talking about key 11, which is strength of fortitude. So these are the 3 virtues that are, well, tarot virtues, right, that are represented in a tarot deck, and I love bringing out these cards when discussing cardinal virtues that are represented in tarot. These 3 cards are from the earliest Mantegna Tarocchi, one of the earliest Tarocchi decks that I have, or historically, right, reproductions in my tarot library. And Mantegna Tarocchi is rather an unusual 50 card only deck that does not adhere to our now familiar 78 card structure in tarot, but still I find Mantegna not only a stunning exemplar of the Renaissance art, but also relevant when it comes to examining the hierarchy and the thinking and beliefs of the medieval world. Yes, 3 virtue cards we are here with. Mantegna also actually has the 4th virtue as well featured, prudence, but again, it's not within the structure of tarot, of the more classic tarot, what we accept as tarot these days. But yes, as I mentioned in my justice video, the 4 cardinal virtues with 3 represented in tarot, they have been attributed Christian connotations for the longest time, but they are actually believed to have been described first by Plato, and the virtues are linked to the core ethics outlined in the classical philosophy. And the cardinal virtues, they do represent fundamental moral principles and the rules to follow and abide by. But the focus of this video, of course, is strength card. Here it's called Fortezza. And as we are about to embark on our little journey through history, briefly looking at the representations of the Fortitude card in tarot, we will observe for most part, and that's why I brought this example, that the virtue, the fortitude, the strength of this arcanum in our tarot in the form of images on the cards will depict for most part a woman with either a lion or a pillar, and in the Mantegna Tarocchi we see both of those represented. But these 2 strength cards, in fact, are among the earliest representations I have in my library, and we are here with the 15th century. We are around 1440 Visconti Madrone, and slightly later 15th century Visconti Sforza. We immediately notice how very different these 2 representations from each other, with the Visconti Sforza, of course, being a rather unusual representation of what we are used to seeing, right, in our tarot decks. In the Visconti Madrone, the earlier one, we see a crowned woman here, beautiful crowned woman with the beautiful long cascading hair, who is holding the mouth of the lion open. And the depiction of this strength for us, tarot people, we are used to this type of a depiction of a female with the lion holding their lion, or a beast holding their mouth open. As in the earliest decks, we also see a lot of biblical references, a great dose of biblical references in the cards, and we can link these cards with the story of Samson wrestling with the lion with his bare hands. In Visconti's Sforza deck, however, the figure is a male, and this figure is shown swinging a baton. Well, my friend Marco Benedetti, card maker from Italy, from Rome, actually refers to this baton as a baseball bat, and I can't unsee it, I can't unhear it. But anyway, so here we are with this male figure with the baton or baseball bat standing over rather little and very terrified little lion. We can speculate about what is happening in this card, and if we are witnesses of the defeat of the human over this adorable little creature, let me immediately say it is not the portrayal I like to see in my strength cards at all. And yes, I do find this, at first sight, I do find this depiction rather disturbing and cruel personally, even though, of course, kind of stepping away from that, from my personal kind of, disturbances with the cruelty of potential beating of the little lion, we can hypothesize that the scene that we see here is actually linked to the story of Hercules defeating the Nemean lion. We can also see this figure coming from the Visconti Sforza deck, right? We can see this man, this young man, as a representation of Francisco Sforza himself as Sforza in Visconti Sforza. Sforza means force, and since the Visconti decks reflect the story of the Visconti Sforza families, this hypothesis may be as good as any. But also we can look at the kind of scared lion and the male figure looking over to the right, so maybe there is a third party present that this young man swinging his bat at, and the lion is ready to hide away or attack. Well, yeah, plenty of hypothesis for us to ponder on, right, looking at this card. But also I have to say that this tarot was not a part of the original illuminated Visconti Sforza deck, and this card was painted by a later artist, so it wasn't a part of the original. And because of that, now that I mentioned that, chronologically, Fortitude from yet another 15th century illuminated Ferrari's deck called so-called Charles VI tarot should actually come between these two, right, chronologically, if you're speaking chronologically. It's this depiction is just, it's a stunningly beautiful card in my view, in which we observe a young woman breaking, very effortlessly I must say, breaking a column, which can be linked once again to the story of Samson, if we are applying biblical references here, especially, particularly Samson in the temple of Dagon, which I will leave up to you to look up to if you are interested. But in the framework of this video, what is important is that this woman is wearing this kind of spider web crown or spider web halo, if you will, which is indicating that this is a virtue card in tarot. Now, one of the cards I wanted to feature 15th century painting, right? So it's the 15th century representation that I cannot resist, and please ignore that you see the Empress card here. Well, this depiction, this is the Empress card in Botticelli, in golden Botticelli tarot, but in fact it's Fortitude, right? This card is Fortitude, I cannot resist. Let me just bring you this painting. This Fortitude was, the painting, right? It wasn't supposed to be a tarot card, but of course, golden Botticelli, they used Botticelli, Sandro Botticelli paintings to create the deck. But this Fortitude, when it comes to the art, it's among my most favorite artistic depictions going back to the early 1470s, right? So we are in the second part of the 15th century. And yes, this painting was done early in the career of Sandro Botticelli, by Sandro Botticelli. And it's a very large painting too, which I saw last year at the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. And this Fortitude, I just could not resist not to feature this in my video. She is wearing the heavy armor, shining armor, and holding this kind of stuff right in her hand. And I love this painting so much. Hence, we see it represented in my video. I hope it's relevant and not confusing to you so much. And now we are progressing towards one of the earliest surviving woodblock sheets from the 15th century, which we know as Budapest tarot. Once again, it's rather unusual to see a man depicted as a virtue card, but then we can once again draw this possible inspiration for this depiction from either mythological Hercules or the Hercules and the lion, or the biblical Samson stories. Then a very charming card indeed is this, again, 15th century Force Fortitude from the Rosenwald sheets, and she is shown here with holding onto the column, not visibly very broken, right, with a spider web halo again, as we have observed in the hand-painted Charles VI tarot, which tells us about her being a virtue card. Now let's look at these three representations from mid 1600s, right? They all three from around 1650 plus minus, right? And they come from three tarots which originated from the same area, Paris, right? So we are here with the anonymous tarot of Paris, Jean Noblet tarot de Marseille, and Jacques Viville, which has its own pattern, which we also see in later Rouen, Brussels decks. While, of course, we can dwell here on stylistic and artistic differences, symbolically more or less, these three cards, we observe a lady using her bare hands to open a mouth of a lion, or in the case of Noblet, possibly I tend to lean towards seeing this animal as the bear, which I don't mind at all. So mid 17th century, maybe I'll just pop them in here for us for now. And then this beautiful Fortitude is from Marco Benedetti's Mitelli Tarocchi, and here once again we are with all the broken pillar is here, and a female character holding onto it and standing, almost leaning onto this large pillar. Then in later Tarot de Marseille, and here we are with type 1, Jean Dodal and Jean-Pierre Payen, earlier 18th century decks. So what's interesting here is this creature to me in type 1, well, and in Noblet also sort of resembles more of a bear based on a depiction, and it's my view only, so I'm very curious to hear whether you see this animal, a bear or a lion or any other animal perhaps. And this is type 2, which is Convert Tarot, and here we are with the more like a spaniel looking lion. Then this card is from the 1840 Swiss Francois Gassman Tarot. I realized as I was sitting to film this video that I haven't featured Swiss Marseille decks in the series yet, and the Gassman Tarot I especially love, so I thought I will throw in a Swiss representation as well from Swiss Tarot de Marseille tradition. And then here we are with a few more examples, a couple more examples. Well, yeah, I have another one here from the Italian historic tarots. This is around mid-19th century Tarocchi Corband, and this is the late 19th century Piedmontese tarot. I'll just leave this one aside for a moment. I haven't brought it to your attention yet because we kind of saw more or less consistent, especially in Marseille tradition, beasts, but I enjoy very much observing the body language and the facial expressions too of the animals in our Fortitude cards. I think those add extra information when reading cards. And in here we have like, well, 2 feet raised, 1 foot up, where in here our beast seems to be more grounded. But yes, as I just brought in, this just one more from the Italian tradition, late 1900s, 1893, in I.B. Giovanni di Vacchetta's La Forza card. And here we sort of have come to a full circle, haven't we, with one of the first cards I featured in this video, and that's the last Italian before we move into occult, occult decks. So in here we have the La Forza, the strength, both depicted with a rather tame little lion and a column a little bit smoother, and this column is broken. And as we now progress into the late 19th century with Oswald Wirth, 1889, and then later version, of course, dating 1926, even though we are here with an occult tarot, the image essentially remains very influenced by Marseille tarot, with addition, of course, of the Hebrew letters for Kabbalistic references. And even in Marseille, you might notice here the infinity shaped brim of the head, but we have seen that in Tarot de Marseille as well, in the, well, beginning from Jean Noblet, mid-1600s. So yeah, historically this one will go there after, but in between would be historically the early 20th century RWS. And of course, with RWS, the numbering of the card of strength strength and justice, the numbering of those 2 cards changed, well, by Arthur E. Waite, a very recent change indeed, considering the examination of the decks that we have just looked at, especially, well, from the number decks like Marseille tarots, right? So at least from the mid-1600s, if, well, a bit earlier as well, yeah, we can say. It fascinates me rather greatly how quickly the swap of the strength and justice cards occurred and caught. Especially what fascinates me, how quickly the change of the numbering and the sequence in the major arcana, how quickly it caught on in the tarot world with, I would say, a great number, if not majority, in the Western world these days preferring the Waite-Smith order of the trumps, which was done to align with astrological attributions to the cards, and which was done by one person, right, Arthur E. Waite. I do very much though like this depiction. I do very much like the kind of calm looking woman in the strength card with lemniscate symbol floating above her head. Then of course we cannot go without the Thoth tarot, another lineage, another tradition which is loved by quite many. In here, the numbering follows the Marseille tarot tradition. Of course, we do have our Kabbalistic and astrological references, and the title of the card has been changed to Lust. And now, here are the examples, just a few of the contemporary tarots from the original mythic tarot. So here we are actually with Greek Hercules defeating this Nemean lion, and a few more for you to look at, which these cards come from. Well, some of the decks you recognize. If you don't, ask away. But they're just a few examples with the modern contemporary decks. Of course, the artists, they have more freedom of interpretation, and I will be talking about those different representations and which ones I lean towards in my very soon upcoming favorites, right? My top 5, my 5 favorite strength video this weekend. I hope you enjoyed this excursion through the historic representations of the second cardinal virtue in tarot as a part of our top tarot trumps series. I will be back this weekend to share with you my personal 5, my top 5 favorite strength cards, 2 of which, by the way, I sneaked into this video, into this array of cards I shared with you. And I would be curious to hear if you could guess which 2 of the cards you've just seen will be featured again over the weekend as a part of my 5, right? As a part of my own response, right, to top 5 strength cards. Also in part 2, I will be sharing with you how I interpret Arcanum XI and tarot, and how I prefer this card, this trump, to be depicted in my cards. Until then, I am sending much love to you all, and I shall be looking forward to catching up with your VRs, with your comments under my YouTube videos, with your posts on Instagram. I will see you over the weekend.